What's going on, everyone? This is Corey with Xbox Tavern with another review. Today I'm taking a look at a game that is full of bugs in the best way possible. This is Empire of the Ants. This is a real-time strategy game where you are an ant and you control ants and other bugs. To start, I have to bring up how beautiful this game looks. I mean, it looks pretty real, and getting close up with the ants and the other bugs that you see, like, it looks so good. So, like, that is what immediately drew me to it, and I can't stop saying how good this game looks. Besides looking good, does it play good? Well, the answer to that is yeah, it kind of does. So there is a story mode to this game, and it is based off of an original story back in the 90s. I don't have any familiarity with it, and I didn't follow the story that closely, but there is a story there, and you kind of go through these different colonies and follow the story that way. But ultimately, what you're doing in each colony is to help them out, and you do that by completing various missions. Now, the missions come in a couple of different flavors. You have exploration missions. So those are where you're kind of going to be finding items and other bugs and ants. It's just kind of a more relaxed game mode, if you will, for this game. I really enjoyed these. Sometimes they are timed, and those can be stressful because what you're finding is pretty well hidden, but there is an ability to kind of know the general direction that you need to go in order to find whatever you're looking for. So that's nice. But yeah, this was kind of just a more relaxed part of the game, an exploration type mission. You also have tactical missions. These are missions that kind of throw you into the RTS gameplay because that's kind of the rest of the game, but they usually have very specific requirements. Sometimes you won't be able to like do a lot of management. You're kind of given certain legions, which is what they call their different bug types or whatever that you control. So you're given like a set of them, and you kind of need to complete it. It's kind of like a challenge, if you will. And then there are strategic missions, which are kind of the full-blown RTS part of the game. This is where you're going to be managing your nest, picking which legions or troops that you're going to be deploying, and how you're going to defend each nest and things like that. There is multiplayer baked into this game. It is cross-play, if I am not mistaken. It also has matchmaking and ranked stuff. You can do 1v1s and practice against bots and whatnot. So the ability to replay this game is pretty endless as far as that goes. Once you get through the campaign, that's kind of it. So that's kind of the multiplayer is where you're going to be focusing on your game time after that story is done. So let's talk about the RTS part, because that is kind of the crux of this game. You are the commander ant. You do have like a name, or really a number, because how many ants there are, you're given a number, and it is your job to command and really take charge of the battle at place. So you're going to be usually given a nest or a handful of nests at the beginning, and you have to go and, like I said, you can pick a legion or a troop from each one. You are capped at a certain number of troops that you can have in total, which can increase based off other things that you can manage. But typically, each nest has up to, to one legion that they can control until you hit your max. Each nest can also be a resource gatherer for you. So you can make a nest that gets wood, or a nest that gets food and generates so many per minute, and you can do other things in that particular category. Each time you pick one of these things, though, it takes up a spot, and you are capped at the number of spots in each nest. So it really is up to you to determine which nests are going to do what things. Now, you can always destroy that little piece of it and rebuild it as something else, as long as you have the material to do so. But again, that just adds a layer of management to this game. Each nest will have a defense category, so you can add a wooden barrier, you can add gunner ants into there so you can protect the nest, because once you lose the nest, it automatically goes to the enemy and you'll have to reclaim it in order to utilize it again. There's also a special power category, and this kind of goes to you as the commander. You can get powers, if you will, that will allow you to kind of more directly affect what is happening around you. So you can like increase the speed of your ants with a certain pheromone, or you could show things on the map temporarily. Things like that will go into the power section. And of course, within all of this stuff, you have, various upgrades that you can do. So your troops, or your legions as they call them, for the most part, they have 3 tiers to them. And if you unlock a chemical laboratory, which is one of the buildings you can build, you can tier up and use the next version of that ant or bug. So that's a way to get stronger. Now, I mentioned food and wood as resources. Those are pretty important because you need them to build these things or train your troops or speed up the training of your troops. Well, you don't get all of that just by generating it however many per minute. There are going to be little sections around the map that allow you to kind of free some ants that have been trapped by like a large insect. And what you do is you go and battle that insect, and once you kind of beat it, then the ants emerge from there. They have their resource, and you can send them to their nest. There's also going to be like food and stuff scattered throughout the map, and you could send your worker ants over there to retrieve more resources. Now that leads me into the different troops. I mentioned the workers, so that is one troop type that you can send out, and they are strong and weak against certain other types of troops. But one of their key things is they can go and gather these resources. Now, your other troops that you're going to be working with include gunners and warrior ants, and they're exactly as they sound. The gunners will kind of hang back and shoot a projectile. The warriors are going to go straight in for the combat and deal with their enemies that way. There are other support ants out there, and snails and other beetles and whatnot, and they will have their own abilities that you can read about once you're in the game. Otherwise, it kind of works like a rock, paper, scissors thing. Gunners are strong against warriors, but they're weak against workers. Workers are strong against gunners, but weak against warriors, so on and so forth. So once you kind of get into the game, you will learn that, and you'll be able to effectively manage your troops and deployments a little better. Now, one thing the game does in story mode that is pretty nice is, especially in the beginning, they focus on a different part of the RTS portion of the game in their mission structure, and it really gives you a good base building way to learn about how the RTS portion works, because it can get confusing even after it took off the hand holding part of it. There's definitely parts that still confuse me, and I'm thinking of, how should I do this more efficiently, that I just forgot, to be honest, because there's a lot of different moving pieces to the RTS portion. With like any RTS game I've played, there's a lot of intricacies and nuances that you just have to learn by playing, and this game is no different. So yeah, I really grown to enjoy some of the RTS portions of it. I do think it's probably me, because I think RTS, you have to have a strategic mind, and I don't always. And it was getting a little difficult near the end of the campaign. And one of the things that frustrated me the most, I couldn't save the game mid-match. Like once you're in the mission and you're going through it, you have to finish it, or you have to stop and come back and redo it from the beginning. And like other RTSs I've played, those matches can be a little lengthy. So once you're in it for a bit, you don't want to stop, because either you're doing really well and you're on the verge of completing it, or you're struggling, but you've put in a good 20-25 minutes worth of building up. You have a good foundation for that mission that you just don't want to give up. And so I struggled a little bit with that. I wish you could save mid-mission. They did do a good job with the controller layout with an RTS. I know that's a big thing. Back in the day, all RTSs aren't made the same, and their controller layouts follow that. This one works well. I'm able to control everything, and it all makes sense. So that's a plus. So yeah, if you're looking for an RTS game that gives a little bit different vibes, you definitely want to check out Empire of the Ants. Again, I think it looks great in an ant army is like the perfect thing for an RTS. Like the idea just makes sense. So if you are a fan of RTSs on console with a controller, which again, I think it controls pretty well, I definitely would give Empire of the Ants a shot. But that will do it for me for this video. If you are not already on xboxtavern.com, be sure to go there to check out my final score for the game. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I will catch you in the next review.